Hey fellas, what's up? Ventus Arashi here today, presenting to you all the big finale for Sonic Frontiers: The Final Horizon. Now, in the last episode, I ended up wrapping up all these story-related cutscenes and getting all the collectibles for Sonic, Tails, Amy, and Knuckles. And initially, I was debating on putting cyberspace as this episode, but I realized very quickly, because off camera I went ahead and tried them out, that there's no way I'm going to be getting all those done on camera because it would just be way too time consuming. I'm still pretty clumsy at cyberspace, and if I release those episodes, it's going to be commentated, not like how I'm doing now, and heavily edited, because I am not nearly skilled enough to get all those things back to back and get all those requirements, because the difficulty of the cyberspace stages has increased exponentially, kinda like with everything else in this DLC. So if I release those, it's gonna be a bonus episode if anything comes up. But anyway, I'm back at Master King Coco's tower again. Let's talk with him. Okay, proceed to the final battle. You betcha. I just know I'm gonna have to fight the end again.
Hey, nice of you to catch up.
Were you successful?
Naturally.
Geez, Sonic, that was more difficult than you let on.
Unfortunately, your friends aren't handling their cyber corruption nearly as well.
Yeah, they were having a rough go of it. Nice.
You guys are the best.
What does that make me?
Fashionably late. But hey, you tried.
Oh, wow. It's here.
We're out of time. I command you to save us.
Here we go. Let's do it to it. What was that reaction, Eggman? Oh, Supreme again. But I guess that makes sense, considering that I fought this guy in the same place at the exact same time of day. Yep. I don't know, but for some reason I was expecting him to have more arms. Especially when based on the trailer. Gotta parry this sucker. Blast away. Okay. Parried too early. Yeah, he sprouts wings that are only seen once, and then they just disappear from the rest of the fight. Go figure on that one. Oi! There we go. This. Cool. A little bit of a frame stutter there. Come on. Get here. Hey! Not trying to go for Supreme. Now I can go. Alright, the quick time event. Keep forgetting about that. And now here... Go. And you're done. Alright, quick edit there. Sorry about that. My capture card decided to be a jerk and crap out on me again, so I had to redo this entire fight. Not a big deal though, this is a pretty easy Titan. But judging from past experience with this thing, I don't believe even for a second that this is over. Take a knee, Supreme. You earned it. Alright, let's see what we got next. Oh, I'm gonna have to fight the end again, aren't I? Oh, this is different. There you are, you ugly moon.
This shell was once my prison. Now it shall be the avatar of my return. All shall perish. All shall return to order. To oblivion.
Not if I have something to say about it. Yee. Oh, this is how he gets those extra arms like in the trailer. Yep, the end. And that kind of reminds me of Perfect Dark Gaia a little bit. He doesn't get hurt. I guess I have to sever the cable on the back of his head. Oh, what? Oh, that's neat. So I was trying to hit parry, but I didn't press both triggers in time, and I went to a dodge, and that snapped me to the cable in the back of his head. That was completely by accident, but I'm glad I found the loophole. Channeling. Oh, that is cool. Neat. What is this, like Supersonic 2 and Kaioken? Also, I'm really digging that instrumental version of I'm Here. Or orchestra. That's like reminiscent of the Supersonic versus Perfect Dark Gaia fight with Endless Possibility. Okay, power up. Master King Coco's trial has awakened Supersonic's hidden power. Parry has powered up to become Perfect Parry, which can reflect any attack. Perfect Parry requires exact timing. Go forth and unleash Supersonic's new power. Sounds like a plan. Get over here! Come here! Huh? Oh, I bet you I gotta use the... Yep. Had lots of practice with the quick side loop with the Titan fights, or that Titan gauntlet that Master King Coco had me do. Music changed. Nice work, Eggman. Huh? Oh, that's great. Go, Sage. Wait a minute. That's probably Kellen Quinn doing those new lyrics. Nice. How are they able to suddenly fly? Well, at least they're helping. Okay, we're gonna attack. Oh, perfect, parry that. Okay. Come on, go down. Get that cable off. Now you can take damage. Go down. Uh-oh. Oh, quick. Oh no, he knocked the power right out of him. Uh-oh. Don't tell me I lost. No. It's something else. Well, at least he was able to reobtain it. Nice. I'm here. Go on, quick time event. Oh wait. Oh wait. Oh. Wow. Gotcha. Come on. Ooh, what's this? Oh, that is neat. No lie. Oh! Harry? Come and get some. Ooh. Get wrecked, Titan. Or rather, the end.
Sonic, it's now or never.
Ah, using his own weapon against him.
Sorry, Master King. Looks like I'm going all out after all.
Oh, this is like a reference to Sonic X, isn't it? The power cannon. Oh, he's letting his cyber corruption fully come loose. Come on, Eggman, don't miss. Ooh, those fangs. Wait, was that it? Ooh, he looks beat up. Wow, that was it. That wasn't too bad, at least compared to the Titan Gauntlet I had to do. I mean, I would have liked a little more of a challenge,
Look,
but...
there he is!
You know, I will admit, This version of the end is still miles better than the one I fought in the original base game. Pretty sure he'll be okay, guys. He's survived atmospheric re-entry before. Yep, he's fine. Very nice.
You did well, Sage. It's time to head home, dear daughter.
Good for you, Eggman.
Home. I like the sound of that. Father.
You know, now that a sequel for Frontiers has been announced, I wonder if Sage is going to become a recurring character. She probably will, given how popular she's become. And that's it for Sonic Frontiers. Okay, now that the credits are rolling, here is my full, unfiltered review on Sonic Frontiers. Not just for the final horizon, but the entire game as a whole, downloadable content or DLC included. I've put this off for well over half a year and am now at the point where I can give my full thoughts on it. Now, for those who are unfamiliar with how I score games and film, I posted a link in the description below with detailed information on that. But if you don't need it, I'm going to get started. To summarize, while this game was not perfect, it was still a blast to play with for the most part, and is a definite step in the right direction for Sega's Blue Blur. There are 7 categories that I use for games just as a refresher: story, vocal performance, music, graphics, gameplay, system performance, and challenge. First up is the story. This includes dedication to source material, continuity, and lore, if any exist, the main plot, side stories, character interactions and development, and how well everything flows together. While I understand why this was done, which is making the player find out more about the story on their own, the story in and of itself was very basic. I miss the games like Sonic Unleashed where it had a specific, linear, almost cinematic plotline as opposed to the more basic and less plot-focused games like Generations and Lost World. There is something to be said for good storytelling, and unfortunately, Frontiers did not have much of it. In addition, there were a few noticeable plot holes that definitely needed explaining. For example, Sage being able to miraculously control the Titan at the end, when she had stated twice she couldn't outright do so before, at least in the base game anyway. The storyline also did feel a bit repetitive as well, especially when hopping from island to island and doing the character missions in the final DLC. However, the mess that Ian Flynn fixed as far as character development and interactions go among Sonic, Tails, Amy, and Knuckles, along with giving a proper backstory for the Chaos Emeralds, is significantly praiseworthy, along with excellent attention to continuity in the Sonic franchise as a whole. So for plot, I give it a 7.5 out of 10. Next is vocal performance. Roger Craig Smith has changed up his voice for Sonic a bit, making him sound a bit more like Jason Griffith in delivery style while maintaining most of his standard voice for Sonic. While it is a step up from his previous versions, his deliveries on certain lines do fall flat at times or over-exaggerate, almost like he's trying too hard or too little. Now, to be fair, part of that is due to voice direction, and part of that is due to his own natural way of doing things. Jason Griffith, however, the previous voice actor for Sonic during 2003 through 2009, he didn't have the best acting job out of the 3 Sonic actors, but to be fair, he had a much more natural feel or delivery to his lines as opposed to Roger. Although, as a counter-argument, Roger does tend to do a better job at expressing emotion than Jason did. Cindy Robinson's performance as Amy Rose has significantly improved, while Colleen O'Shaughnessy, who voices Tails, and Mike Pollock, who voices Eggman, are still great as usual, although Pollock is getting noticeably less peppy with line delivery. Sage's VA, Ryan Bartley, also did well, and newcomer Dave B. Mitchell did a decent job as Knuckles, although he does tend to have the same problem that Roger does. That being said, I give vocal performance a solid 7. Next is music. If there's one constant in the Sonic franchise, it's that its music will almost never disappoint, and this game is no exception. Chaos Island and certain cyberspace levels were the game's weakest points as far as music is concerned, but the blend of metal, J-rock, orchestra, and techno somehow worked quite well. Certain vocal themes like I'm Here did have to grow on you. Others like One Way Dream, Find Your Flame, and Undefeatable, and Break Through It All were instant favorites. And even better, when the Final Horizon DLC got released, a second soundtrack was given out, complete with instrumental boss themes and remixes of cyberspace stages. Hands down, the best track in the Final Horizon DLC is I'm Here Revisited, which had Kellen Quinn as the vocals and was a significant improvement over the original I'm Here. So, as stated previously, music is definitely the game's strongest category, so I give it a 9. Next is graphics. This includes thematic visuals, if any, resolution, and attention to detail in the environment, character design, materials, etc. Now, this game broke away from the cartoony, Nintendo-esque visuals established by Sonic Lost World and Forces, and went back to a semi-realistic world similar to those of Unleashed, 06, and the Adventure Saga. The addition of finer textures and staining to the characters' fur and clothes were a great touch, and the models themselves being far more facially expressive than they have ever been was great to see. The environments, shifting of day to night, and the weather additions were also a nice touch. Although Chaos Island once again was the weakest one out of all of them, and the recycling of elements from the previous islands on Oranos and Rhea Islands was a bit redundant, if not lazy. Sonic's character model, despite certain texture and color updates, is identical to his Forces model, which is not the favorite among many people, including myself. His quills are shorter, despite all CGI promo scenes featuring an Unleashed-style character model with longer quills and darker blue fur colors, and the center quill is also raised a bit too high in the back and seems to mesh into the top one, leaving a strange gap underneath. Now, someone had mentioned that this was done because the Unleashed model was higher poly. I'm not sure how true that is, so don't quote me on that. But with today's technological advancements, that should not be too massive of an issue, especially on PC and PS5, so that was a bit lazy. The lip syncing with the English audio is also a bit lackluster, and it pales in comparison to the syncing done in Unleashed, and even that was not perfect. Now, to be fair, that's a daunting enough task to do in any animation-based industry. However, a YouTuber called Mr. Pocho managed to upgrade a Sonic Colors Ultimate cutscene and alter the lip syncing to near perfection. Now, imagine if a professional game dev was able to do just that. People would not stop raving about it, since that would be unprecedented in the modern Sonic franchise. I also seriously miss the CGI cinematic style opening and closing cutscenes that stopped taking place after Sonic Unleashed as well. So with all that in mind, for visuals I give this game a 7. Next is gameplay. This includes mechanics, modes, engagement, immersiveness, replay value, cosmetic items in both variety and quality, and styles/modularity. In computer science, modularity is the extent to which something can be taken apart and reconfigured while still being functional. The ability to adjust game difficulty, how fast Sonic moves, and how sharply he turns is a welcome addition and can provide a decent amount of scaling and value to the game depending on a person's playstyle. The combat being taken to a different level, especially as Super Sonic, was a welcome change of pace and different from the usual homing attack/spin dash/boost through combo. And speaking of Super Sonic, the Titan fights were fun and engaging. Now, originally, when the base game was released, you couldn't replay Titan fights, but DLC 1 fixed that with an enemy rush mode, so I'll let it slide. Tails, Amy, and Knuckles also having playable story arcs of their own when DLC 3, The Final Horizon, got released, was moderately enjoyable, but Tails is the main standout strictly for transportation with his Cyclone. Their combat is still lackluster compared to Sonic's though, which means taking out the superpowered Guardian enemies I did strictly with Sonic for the sake of expediency, at least for the most part anyway. Certain button placements took some serious getting used to, especially for people with or used to the button commands being in certain locations since 2008 and up. For example, the boost button, instead of square like it would normally be on the PlayStation, has been moved to R2, which makes it awkward to try and dodge left and right or quick step using the triggers. However, when fighting Squid or the Wyvern Titan, the left analog stick may be used as a substitute. The light dash, instead of triangle, has now been moved to L3, which was confusing, and the homing attack has also been moved to square, when it's been on the jump button since Colors, even with the double jump available. Now, I'm assuming this was done to make room for the combat mechanics, but this wasn't a welcome change. I mean, once I got used to it, it wasn't as bad, but I still found myself pressing old buttons out of habit. The lack of momentum-based mechanics in the base game, something that has been a staple in the Sonic franchise since conception, was also criticism worthy, although I would suspect that was done due to combat mechanics. But DLC 2, Sonic's Birthday Bash, fixed all that by not only adding momentum mechanics, but also the spin dash, which is super fun to use, so that basically cancelled out the previous criticism. Sonic is also not nearly as fast as he was in Unleashed and Generations, and to be honest, I miss seeing that raw, blistering speed. Also, being forced into side-scrolling sections on certain islands while trying to explore was not enjoyable, and the cyberspace mechanics not scaling to power, such as being stuck at a fixed speed regardless of leveling up, was not welcome at all. And don't even get me started on DLC 3's cyberspace levels and climbing those trial towers. I hated doing those. Part of that is due to my own acrophobia, part of it's due to clumsiness, but either way, those were not fun. The final boss in the base game was not enjoyable for me, but then DLC 3 came out and fixed that. DLC 3's last boss would likely have been decently challenging for those unsure of the fight's mechanics, but I bumbled into the solution by accident, and once I figured that out, the final boss went down so quick it wasn't even funny. I almost felt like I cheated, to be honest, especially given how brutal the Master King Coco trial was, which forced you to pull out all the stops on supersonic combat and was unforgiving. So for gameplay, I give the game a 6.5. Next is system performance. The game performed quite well on PS5 on 4K 60 FPS, and rarely had any performance hiccups except for the very rare frame drop segments, to say nothing of my recording equipment and software bugging out. The terrain and structure pop-in was a bit out of the blue at times, but outside of those two issues, no problems at all. So system performance is the game's second strongest suit, earning it a solid 8. And lastly, challenge. Some gamers are gluttons for punishment, and others just want to sit back and enjoy the ride, and the base game tailors to a variety of needs and wants quite well. Its difficulty settings are quite flexible, from the game difficulty itself to the finer controls surrounding Sonic and his movement, or rather freedom of movement. However, the biggest downside with the game's difficulty are the cyberspace challenges, specifically a good many involving the Sky Sanctuary themed stages, especially 1-2. Some of those make you want to pull your hair out, and don't even get me started on the true final boss of the base game. Certain map puzzles on Chaos Island were exceptionally cryptic and caused me to look for an out-of-the-way method to cross gaps as a result. But then DLC 1 went ahead and introduced Extreme Mode, which is a one-hit death. That's fine for some people, but it just didn't feel like Sonic. The whole point of ring collecting is to avoid death and power up, so rings are essentially pointless. Same thing goes for Supersonic. Supersonic is supposed to feel godlike, and one-hit death takes away that hype. And when DLC 3 got released, regardless of game difficulty, you are still in for a world of hurt, especially in regards to the Coco challenges and platforming. Some platforming gets easier on easy mode, others don't. But the overall difficulty spike is not very welcome for cyberspace, platforming, challenges, etc. So for challenge, I give this game a 7 out of 10. Now that all 7 categories have been scored, I'm going to take their average to arrive at the final score for the game as a whole. Score is based on increments of half a point, so any in-between numbers will be rounded to the nearest half point to simplify things. So based on all the information provided beforehand, Sonic Frontiers earns a score of 7.5 out of 10 based on quality alone, and taking into consideration the scores and quality for the base game and the 3 succeeding DLCs. But based on my own personal enjoyment, I would give this an 8.5 out of 10 easy. And that's it for my review on Sonic Frontiers. Hopefully this was helpful and informative at the very least. Oh, this scene again. Nice. But then again, I really shouldn't be all that surprised.
So, that was fun.
After playing through this DLC, I understand why they make those
I
expressions
guess
now.
it's time we got moving. I know you all have big plans.
You're gonna hardly recognize me when we see each other again.
I hope so.
Wonder if cream and sticks are free. Make a road trip out of it.
It'll be good to get back to my island. At least for a while.
We're wasting daylight. Let's go.
Still trips me out that they made Styx the Badger cannon. Alright. Off to New Horizons. Oh, and one more thing before I forget. After much deliberation, I will not be recording my attempts at the Final Horizon cyberspace levels due to limited hard drive space and how long it would take me to get those done. Admittedly, those are a struggle for me. So, as a substitute, I went ahead and posted a link to a video done by Sonic Overtime that showcases 100% completion for every Final Horizon cyberspace challenge in case anyone is stuck. He's not asking for this, I'm doing this of my own accord to try and be helpful, not just for other people, but for myself, because I will most likely need a quick reference guide due to how, I guess you could say, increased the difficulty on these stages is. But that being said, I'm going to shut up for a bit, so sit back and enjoy the music.
the beginning of this one-way dream.
All right, let's see. Is there a post-credit scene? Is there? We dedicate this game to all players who supported us. Thank you for playing. Of course, guys. Oh. Save this game, clear data. Absolutely. Nice. So no post-credit scene, huh? I guess that makes sense, because in the original game, the post-credit scene was Eggman reviving Sage. Or at least in the base game, anyway. But yeah, that's it for Sonic Frontiers. I mean, this was fun in its own way, not gonna lie. I mean, most of it was more frustrating than anything else, like I've stated previously, but it was still enjoyable, and I'm still glad that I went through this, because now I can officially say I did it and I'm completely done with this game. At least the recorded version, anyway. On my own time, I'm going to be going back and hitting up the cyberspace portals, along with taking care of those remaining Guardians on the island. Because I do want to get those completed, at the very least, and kind of get the hang of Tails, Amy, and Knuckles' combat. As stated also before, there will be a link in the description below for Sonic Overtime's video, so that way anyone who's stuck on cyberspace challenges, including myself, can go back and have a quick reference guide in case you're having trouble. But yeah, that wraps it up for Sonic Frontiers. So it's been a blast, well, ish, for this DLC, but I'm glad it's done, and I'm glad to be moving on, because quite frankly, I do have other things that I need to take care of, and I would like to get going on them. So thanks so much for watching, and I will catch you guys in the next series. Later.